Real World Science: A Changing Earth by Heather Miller. Earth has been changing for billions of years. The powerful energy of our planet has pushed mountains upwards. It has opened canyons. Erosion has smoothed rugged peaks. Volcanoes have raised islands out of the sea. The Earth may seem unchanging, but it moves and changes all the time. Many powerful forces cause the Earth to change. Running water is one example. It can slowly break down or erode solid rock. Rushing rivers, crashing ocean waves, and even rain all have this power. The Grand Canyon in Arizona formed this way. The Colorado River slowly carved out the canyon. This took place over millions of years. The river slowly cut into the soil. Sand and pebbles were carried away by the river. As time passed, the river carried away more soil. Little by little, the canyon grew wider and deeper. Today, the Grand Canyon is 15 miles wide and about a mile deep, and over 277 miles long. The canyon is still being changed by water and wind. Wind is another force of nature that shapes the earth. Heavy gusts of wind sweep up the loose dirt and sand. Wind can change in shape of hills and mountains and other landforms. Sometimes sand collects into great hills called dunes. Sand dunes form in places that have lots of sand and wind. One such place is Sleeping Bear National Lakeshore in Michigan. There are sand dunes that rise more than 400 feet above the surface of Lake Michigan. Gusts of wind come in from the lake. Sand grains are pushed to the top of the dunes. With each gust, the dunes grow taller. When the direction of the wind changes, the dunes change shape. The changing winds move sand grains to new places. The tops of some dunes are swept away and new dunes begin to grow. Huge mountains of ice called glaciers also change the Earth's surface. Glaciers cover large parts of the Earth thousands of years ago. Gravity pulled the glaciers down the slopes and into the valleys below. Below the glaciers, giant, sharp rocks rolled along. The rocks cut grooves into the Earth's surface. When the glaciers melted, they left behind valleys. Glaciers changed Yosemite National Park in California long ago. Yosemite Valley was once covered by glaciers. The glaciers covered the valley for more than 300,000 years. When they melted, they left behind a U-shaped valley bordered by sharp cliffs. Waterfalls also formed as melting snow rushed over the cliff edges. This is how Bridalveil Falls formed. Water drops more than 620 feet. It spills over the rocky cliff. The world is covered with beautiful landforms. Some were created by the wind, others were formed by moving water or ice. All of them are examples of amazing powers of nature. There are mountains on every continent. 3/4 of the countries of the world are at least partially covered by mountains. Mountains form in different ways. The Himalaya Mountains in Asia are folded mountains. Folded mountains are formed when heat and pressure change the Earth's crust. The crust is only a small part of the Earth. The Earth is made up of many layers. The crust is the top layer. The thickness of the crust is not the same in all places. Under the oceans, the crust is thinner. It's about 3 miles thick. On dry land, the crust is about 30 miles thick. But in some places, it can be as thick as 62 miles. The mantle is the next layer. It's made up of hot, liquid rock. The mantle is thicker than the crust. Scientists think that the mantle is about 1,800 miles thick. The core, at the center of the Earth, is more than 2,100 miles thick. The Earth's crust is divided into several parts. These parts are called plates. Plates are divided by huge cracks. There are 7 major plates on Earth. Each plate is thousands of miles wide. Plates float over the soft, not quite liquid mantle. They move very slowly. They move less than 1 inch each year. When 2 plates press against each other, pressure builds. Over millions of years, the pressure causes 1 or both of the plates to fold. These huge folds in the plates push upwards. They sometimes appear as mountains. Mountains that form this way are called folded mountains. The Andes Mountains in South America are an example of folded mountains. Not all of Earth's mountains form this way. The Grand Tetons in Wyoming are called the fault block mountains. These rugged mountains formed 10 to 13 million years ago. During that time, the Earth's crust cracked, rose, and fell. This is how the fault block mountains formed. The huge cracks in the Earth's plates are called faults. Faults divide the plates into smaller parts called blocks. Fault block mountains are created when blocks move. The movement of the Earth's crust can cause pressure to build. That pressure can force the blocks to rise. When that happens, huge pieces of earth jut upwards. Blocks of earth are stacked and mountains are formed. Fault block mountains can also result from falling blocks. A block that sinks below the Earth's surface creates a low spot or valley. The land around the valley is now higher than the valley itself. It looks like a mountain. The Black Hills of South Dakota are small and rounded. These mountains are called dome mountains. Dome mountains form when magma seeps up to the Earth's surface through cracks in the Earth's crust. Magma is liquid rock that comes from the Earth's mantle layer. As pressure builds, the crust sometimes heaves up. It then swells into a dome shape. As the magma cools, it slowly hardens. A new mountain forms. Mountains form in many ways. Because mountains rise from a variety of forces, they can look very different. The next time you visit a mountain, try to identify how it was formed. Chapter 3, Explosive Volcanoes. In May 2003, Anahan volcano erupted. A huge plume of ash and steam shot more than 30,000 feet into the air. The blast ripped open a huge crater in the center of the volcano. Ash and steam sprayed into the air for many weeks. Volcanoes can be found all over the world. Anahan in the northern Mariana Islands. This group of islands is located off in the Ring of Fire. The ring partly encircles the Pacific Ocean. 452 volcanoes make up the Ring of Fire. That is more than 3/4 of all of the world's volcanoes. A volcano is an opening or crack in the Earth's crust. Deep inside the volcano, magma is pushed up from the Earth's mantle. Magma collects in an open space called a magma chamber. When the pressure inside the magma chamber becomes too strong, the nearby rock breaks open. Magma is forced up through the opening. The opening is called a lava tube. The lava tube runs up the center of the volcano. When the magma reaches the surface, it's called lava. Hot lava erupts and flows down the side of the volcano. Lava can also spray high into the air. When the lava cools, it falls back to the earth. Large chunks of falling lava are called bombs. Smaller pieces are called cinders. Even smaller dusty bits are called ash. There are 3 types of volcanoes. One is the stratovolcano. Anaheim is a stratovolcano. Stratovolcanoes are large and cone-shaped. In stratovolcanoes, magma flows out through the lava tubes. After one erupts, the tube is plugged and hardened by lava. The lava plug causes pressure to build up again. When the pressure gets too high, the plug is blown out. And volcano erupts. Stratovolcanoes erupt with explosive force. Ash and volcanic bombs can shoot 8,000 feet into the air. The next type of volcano is called a shield volcano. The largest volcano in the world is a shield volcano. The volcano is located in Hawaii. It is called Mauna Loa. Shield volcanoes are wide. Mauna Loa takes up more than half the island of Hawaii. Shield volcanoes are made from very fluid lava called basalt lava. In a shield volcano, basalt lava flows from a crack. It travels for a long distance before it cools and hardens. Over time, low, wide mounds of lava build up. Shield volcanoes tend to be very active. Large amounts of lava are spilled out each time one erupts. Shield volcanoes can be found in the ocean or on dry land. All of the Hawaiian Islands are shield volcanoes. Each one grew up from the ocean floor over millions of years. The third type of volcano is a cinder cone volcano. These often grow out from the sides of larger volcanoes. They are the most common volcano on Earth. The Mauna Kea volcano in Hawaii is about 100 cinder cone volcanoes on its slopes. Cinder cones are made up of piles of cinders. Lava shoots into the air during an eruption. The lava cools quickly and cinders form. The cinders fall back to the earth in piles. The piles of cinders form cinder cones. Cinder cones can be small or large. Some are only 33 feet high, and others can grow to more than 300 feet. Volcanoes are extreme forces of nature. They can quickly change the Earth's surface with one giant blast. Chapter 4, Drifting Continents. The Earth is made up of 7 large pieces of land called continents. 27 seas and 4 oceans divide the continents. But that wasn't always the case. Scientists think that all of the land was once connected. That was more than 200 million years ago. Scientists called this connected landmass a supercontinent. They named it Pangea, which means all Earth. The scientist named Alfred Wegener presented his supercontinent theory in 1912. At the time, his idea seemed to be hard to believe. Scientists did not think that the continents could move. Today, most experts agree that Pangea really did exist long ago. There are many clues to help explain what happened to Pangea. One clue can be seen on a flat map of the world. On such a map, the continents look like puzzle pieces that have moved apart. South America looks like it slid away from the west coast of Africa. The top bulge of Africa seems to fit well with the east coast of North America. There are more clues to this puzzle. Fossils of the ancient reptile Mesosaurus have been found in South America. Fossils of the same animal have been found in Africa. The animal could not have traveled across the ocean. That leads experts to think that the animals once lived on the same continent. Then the continents drifted apart. That is why the same fossils can be found on both sides of the ocean. Experts have also found matches like these with rocks and huge blocks of ice. Today, we know that the Earth's crust is always moving. It moves across a sea of liquid rock. Scientists use special satellites to show the movement of the continents. A satellite that uses a laser has measured this movement. The Hawaiian island of Maui, for instance, moves towards Japan at a rate of about 3 inches per year. Most continents move a little, but not more than 6 inches per year. The movement of the continents takes place underwater. Continents are part of much larger sections of crust called plates. The plates are divided by huge cracks in the crust. The plates are always moving. On the seafloor, magma flows up from the mantle through cracks. It is pushed outwards. The magma cools, creating new crust. The old crust is pushed back into the mantle where it melts. The crust recycles itself like this over and over again. It is this process that keeps the plates in constant motion. The movement of the plates is called plate tectonics. Scientists think that the Earth has been recycling itself since the beginning of time. They think that this will continue far into the future. 21st century content. More than 10,000 earthquakes occur each year in Southern California. Most are so small that people don't even notice them. California's many earthquakes are easy to explain. The state sits on top of the San Andreas Fault. This is where the Pacific and North American plates meet. The San Andreas Fault is about 800 miles long. The total movement along the fault is less than 2 inches per year, but the tremors caused by that movement can be very strong.